Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Geoff Dean. I'm the Sheriff of Ventura County. This morning at about 10 a.m., the Sheriff's helicopter crew had just finished dropping off a search team in the area of the ongoing search for Mike Herdman, the Arcadia firefighter. The pilot and the crew flew over a rugged cliff area and noticed something in the terrain down below. Further investigation revealed what they had seen. Pilot Ken Mitchell had glanced out the window and seen it after flying over the same location multiple times during the search over the past 7 days. What they had seen was a body. The air unit directed searchers to the area. It was difficult for them to get there. It was incredibly rough terrain, and even when they got close, the body was camouflaged within the terrain itself. An investigator from the medical examiner's office was flown to the scene, and the body was airlifted back here to the sheriff's air unit. The body was then transported to the medical examiner's office, where a positive confirmation through dental records was made that it was the victim, firefighter Mike Herdman, who we had been searching for the past 10 days. Mike's body was located approximately 3/4 of a mile and about 1,200 feet above where he was last seen in the Sespe River bottom. These pictures over here are an indication. This is one of my investigators in the exact location where the body was found. You can see by the terrain, it is incredibly rugged. The Sespe River is down below some 1,200 feet. So it was obviously a long hike up very, very difficult terrain. The family has been notified. And once again, our sympathies and our hearts go out to Mike Herdman's family, the public, and the fellow firefighters at Arcadia Fire Department. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. It's undetermined, pending an autopsy by the medical examiner. We'll look at everything. You know, the medical examiner will do an unbiased review to determine the cause of death.
Did he have any visible sign of injury?
Well, it's very, very rugged terrain, so you would imagine if someone was to fall in that area, the type of injuries that would be conducive to that type of falling through terrain and rock.
Any broken bones?
I really don't want to comment on that till the medical examiner finishes his examination. It's about 3/4 of a mile up, pretty much up the side of this canyon right here. And again, about 1,200 feet from the river bottom below where he was last seen as he camped with Taylor bears. The pilot and the crew had just dropped off a search team down below in the river bottom once again, and the pilot just chose a particular area to go out, and candidly said, I glanced out and I just saw something, and it didn't look like it belonged in the terrain, and they went back and actually had to make a couple circles, and the crew chief that was on the flight actually couldn't even see it, and they had to fly around a couple times to be able to identify and to be able to see that something was actually down there.
Did it appear that he had been trapped? I mean, you spoke about crevices, people could fall in and they not be able to get out.
It did not appear that he had been trapped. It appeared that he was laying over some of the terrain and partially covered up by brush. And I'm sure you'll understand, out of respect for the family, I'm just going to avoid being too descriptive. There's just no need for that.
Have you gotten any reaction from the
Well, one of my commanders who has worked with them all week called them and talked to them, and I haven't talked to them about what their reaction was. We also called the assistant chief from Arcadia Fire Department to let them know.
So in regard to the search, you had backed it off a little bit, and then last couple of days you had intensified it somewhat?
No, actually, we backed off the number of personnel that were there, but we had searchers and air units out there every day.
Every day?
Every day.
And were you going to intensify that this weekend?
Not necessarily. We were probably going to continue at the reduced ongoing level we were at, absent some new information coming forward.
And this area where the body was found was not
No, they had not been up that far up the canyon. It was, as we evaluated where to search and what to do, and the search and rescue professionals looked at that, they said, what are the chances that someone at night in bare feet and shorts would scale a 1,200-foot mountain? And the likelihood just wasn't that high, and so the search was focused in areas that there was a higher likelihood that he actually might be located.
Is that something that you'll investigate? The fact that he was so far and it seemed at least to you not really possible?
Well, it's been an ongoing investigation. We've been looking into it. We'll continue to ask questions. Candidly, I'm not sure if we'll ever get an answer, because he's probably the only one that can answer those questions about why you'd go so far in the middle of the night like that.
Well, is it possible barefoot with no gear to get that far?
Well, I guess it is. I guess it is. No, there's no indication whatsoever that there's any foul play involved.
One more time, so you're saying that they were camping near the river bottom. He said somehow went after his dog and had 1,200 feet up and then fell?
The body was located 1,200. This is 1,200 feet above the Sespe river bottom.
They were camping by the river.
They were pretty much in the river bottom. So, if you, and I apologize if we'd have a Google Earth there, you'd be able to see. There's two ways up into this canyon. One would be the river bottoms down along here. You'd come along the front and traverse around this front area, or there's a canyon around the backside that you would have to go up a half a mile, 3/4 mile up through very rugged terrain to come around the top and the backside of this cliff area.
So he went up and then fell.
We don't know.
You don't know if he fell.
Well, we don't, at this point, we don't know if he fell. We know where the body was located. We can't determine at this point, and maybe we'll be able to determine more after the autopsy is done, exactly what happened.
Is it below a cliff?
It is, it's below this cliff right here. And this is about 150, 200-foot cliff. So is it a possibility he climbed to the top of the cliff and fell off at night? Yes. We don't know if that actually happened.
Is it your sense of the timeline that whatever happened at that spot happened on Friday night, Saturday morning?
It would seem to indicate that, yes. Nothing. Nothing else except the clothing he was wearing, which matched what was described to us that he was wearing when he ran out of camp. That was a pair of board shorts, and what was the shirt? Black t-shirt. He was barefoot, yes. Animal tracks, it's difficult to see the animal tracks. I talked to the investigators and the rescuers that went up there today, and they said it is so thick that they actually slipped multiple times just trying to get to the scene. In the short time, the helicopter offloaded them and just getting over to where it was.
And in total, it was that you had looked at 58 square miles and focused in on about 6 square miles worth of spots, different areas. Is that still accurate?
Yeah, we focused on areas where we thought there was a higher likelihood that he would have left the Sespe area. That's one of my investigators. We wanted to be able to show exactly where the body was found.
Can you talk about how far the cliff, if we made it to the top of that cliff, how far is that from the river?
It's 3,000 feet.
Okay, how many miles?
The elevation, it's 3/4 mile.
To the cliff, I'm talking.
The cliff, I'll let you do the math.
Okay.
This is about 3/4 mile from the location. The cliff is another several hundred feet above that.
So the 1,200 feet is distance downward?
The 1,200 feet is the distance from where they were camping to where the body was located. So in addition to that, it's another 200 feet to the top of the cliff.
Do you know how far the drop is? Like the height of the actual cliff?
Approximately 200 feet. So 200 feet from the top of the cliff to where the body was located. But I'm not saying that he fell off the cliff. We don't know that. 1,200 feet is the vertical difference between the Sespe River and where the body was located. 3/4 mile on the ground.
Is it fair to say that you guys were all looking below instead of on top with his
Below.
You guys never searched above?
Oh no, we searched above. We didn't go that far up.
Where was the dog found in relation to the body? Was the dog found close to this area?
No, the dog was found all the way back at Doe Flats at the original place where they started, some 12 miles away.
So the dog somehow managed to get all the way back to you.
The dog managed to get all the way back to the original parking lot. Pretty amazing.
You may have already answered this. Is there any way to determine how long he spent getting to the Stationhead Road, or what the difference it was between the night he left and when he reached this spot?
Probably not. I mean, maybe we can determine some time factors after the coroner has finished the autopsy, but not at this point.
Did you have a driver?
I'm not really sure. They just, again, they would just receive the body today. So
Sheriff, what time was the body found at?
the pilot spotted it at about 10 o'clock this morning.
How long did it take for us to move the body up to 10 minutes?
It was several hours because we flew the medical examiner out. That's protocol that when you have a dead body, the medical examiner comes out and is in charge of the body. The body is at the medical examiner's office in Ventura now.
You mentioned offloading. Were they able to land near this site, or did they have to like hoist people down?
No, they had to offload, and I'm not sure how far it was, but probably several hundred yards, I imagine, offload from the area. And
Yeah.
and they did what they call a hover offload. So the helicopter will sit it skid down on a rock on an edge, and then the crew will have to jump out or hop out of the aircraft. Today, well, probably at least 10. Sadly, nobody but Mike has ever know the explanation why he would take off into this kind of terrain in the dark in bare feet. And we can all speculate, but I think that's doing a disservice to him and his family to try to guess what might have happened or why he thought that. Well, it's certainly, like I mentioned, our hearts and our sympathies go out to Mike and his family. If there is an upside, the animal's located, and for those of us that lost somebody, closure is certainly important and part of the grieving process, and this does give the family some closure and time to deal with it and deal with the future. No, not as far as I know. Yes. Yes, it was flown here. That was probably about 1 o'clock.
Can you tell us which pilot
I, which copter was it? Copter 6, which is out there. Yes, and it's pilot Ken Mitchell, and he's probably here somewhere. It could be a veteran pilot, and he'd be happy to answer questions if you'd like to talk to him. Would you like to? Hey, Ken. He didn't know I was going to do this.
Sheriff, can I have your name and title once again?
Geoff Dean, Geoffdean.
Sure.
Good afternoon.
Ken Mitchell, our pilot.
Ken Williams. I am. After deploying a team of 4 of our air unit crew members, I climbed out and ascended into an area that, I spent a few minutes searching that I figured would do some good. And it was during that point that I picked up a point that was just different color than the normal topography. And so we spent some time looking at that and then discovered that it was a body. Well, the initial visual that I was looking at, I kind of figured maybe a sleeping bag with something sticking out of it. And as we moved in closer, discovered that it was an actual body.
So you were in the helicopter, you were flying the
Yes.
helicopter at this point when this.
That's correct. Pilot. Correct. Ventura County Sheriff's Office. Well, I think it was an effort among everyone. We put a lot of resources into this investigation. We've conducted a lot of searches. And as the sheriff indicated to you, it may have been abnormal to see somebody ascend that high to that location. And so a little bit of the outside thinking, if you will, just looking in different areas, I think was probably key in ending this search. It is bittersweet. It gives me a sense of good feeling knowing that the family will have closure with regard to this situation. Ken Williams, pilot, Ventura County Sheriff's Office. Williams, correct.
Sorry, I got it wrong.
My career expands over 30 years, and of that 30 years, 11 years currently on the department. Thank you, Sheriff.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming on short notice, and we were kind of pushing you back because we wanted to make sure we notified the family, so thanks again.